Hello, and thanks for taking a few minutes to learn about rapid roof ROI. Most businesses are unaware that their expensive commercial roof can actually have an ROI, but when we take all the different incentives that are available and power company funding, we can actually get an ROI fairly quickly. So, um, so with that, Bob from Abco Fleet, he needed a roof really bad. It was rusty and wasn't working right and had lots of leaks. And he's about 72 years old, didn't really want to write a check for it. Not really a green guy, but he wanted to find a way to, get the most incentives that he can off the cost of his roof. And so when we put together all the numbers for Bob, he got a new roof with extra installation. He got solar and even got a lighting project he ended up upgrading with. But the entire project had a 3-year ROI. And Bob used the power company funding that we have available too. So he didn't have to write the check. And that check, you do pay it back, but you pay it back after you're getting incentives and you pay it on the power bill, and you don't actually make a payment until the project's fully completed. So he did that. And so a lot of, the government has these incentives out there because they realize they need to reduce the burden on the grid. Not enough energy out there. And so these incentives have been in place for quite a while. And there's actually incentives on the roof, the solar, EV chargers, lighting upgrades, compressed air upgrades. But really, the biggest incentives are on the new roof and solar. So the incentives actually apply towards the cost of the new roof. That's how we end up getting the rapid roof ROI. And so, yeah, most companies are focused on their business and really don't have time to research all these programs governments might have. But we search everywhere for whatever incentives are available, and every location's slightly different. There's some that cover the entire country, but a lot of states and power companies can add to it. So to make the incentives a little better. So our group's been around since 1985, helping businesses find incentives and cut costs. So that entire time. So one thing that does make us a little unique, Bob also chose to use that power company funding. So they're not a lender, so it's not a lien on there's no lien on the property, and it's not a traditional loan because they're not a lender, but it becomes part of the project cost. So you actually get incentives on the cost of using that funding as well. So typically people have to submit a couple of years financials to get approved. Once they're approved, they literally pay nothing until the project's fully completed, and then they usually do 5 years or 60 payments, but it's 5 years or 60 payments once the project's fully completed. So it could be a full year before you actually start making the payment, and at the same time you end up getting in the incentives around the same time you have to start making the payments. So the largest incentive is the federal tax credit, and it's 30% for the entire country, and that's on the roof, solar, lighting, or EV chargers. But they don't. There's some areas where your address could qualify for an extra 10%. It just depends on your location. But it's a dollar for dollar federal tax credit that you can go back 3 years and apply towards your taxes you paid. You do amended return and you can get that back. Or it's good for 22 years going forward. And also, the credits are easily transferable. And there's actually a market for them where people are getting 90 cents on the dollar selling them in the market. So, and then the other two incentives there are bonus accelerated depreciation, both federal and state for these projects. So, some states offer incentives. Most of them call them SRECs or solar renewable energy credits. And some states, it varies. They can pay over up to 15 years, sometimes even more. Some states might actually renew them as you're going through the project and you get to the end of your 15. Maybe they'll be able to sign up for, again, more incentives. And then some local power companies have incentives like on an inverter rebate. So they kick in too. But all of this money is money that people are being charged on their electric bill for efficiency programs. And so if you don't do a project, you'll never get that money back. And So that's how they get all that money. And then we only use Bloomberg certified tier one equipment. So the panels, the inverters, the racking system, and so the 30-year warranty on the panels, we guarantee the production number. So if it's going to make 1 million kilowatt hours every year, that's the number we show you. We guarantee that number for 30 years. And then after 30 years, they just don't stop working. They might end up, so they do degrade a little bit. So maybe in year 35 or 40, maybe it's 90%, 95%, or 85% of what that original number was. So it's good to know that they last a lot longer than their warranty. But because the panels last so long, we've searched and we've found some roofing materials that might last a little bit longer than the typical 20-year warranty, which we recommend. We want to make sure that it's a seamless program for generations. And along with the roofing system, we have we have a program where this technique for roofing application actually saves money on materials, saves money on labor, and this particular system is very strong and never had a failure in 38 years due to wind. So if we're able to use that system on a roof, we definitely recommend it. One of them made it through its third hurricane, Hurricane Milton, just recently, and no damage, no leaks, no needed repairs. So that's a pretty good roofing system. So here's a real example on new roof, solar, EV chargers, new rooftop units. We combined it all in one program, but so this project was $1.7 million for the roof and solar. And once we added up all the incentives, 5 different incentives, state incentive, power company incentives, those incentives added up to $1.708 million. So literally, when you add up all the incentives, it covered all but $66,000 of this project. So, and then they went on to save $63,000 per year if rates stay the same. So rates are supposed to be going up this summer. And so when that happens, that savings number will go up. And so, if any of these incentive programs seem like something you're interested in, if this might resonate with you, or you got a project in mind, all we suggest is like give us a little 7-minute phone call, book a call with us, and we can look up your address and give you some ideas on what the incentives are available for you in your area. So if that makes sense, just give us book a call on the link below. And here's another one, Kloss Distributing. Mike Kloss was doing a new addition to their building, and they decided they wanted to look at doing solar at the same time. And so the new addition is out there in the back. He needed a new roof. That roof was 22, 23 years old. And so he spent his actual cash on the new addition, didn't really want to write a check for doing something else. So we funded that project, the roof, the solar, through the power company. We got all of the incentives, combined them all together. The roof was kind of an expensive one. So the $2.2 million project, once we subtracted all the settings, the incentives that are available, ended up having a 5-year ROI. And he said multiple times, at least 10 times during the course of like us working on the project and the numbers, that it just seems too good to be true. So he gave me a little testimonial here. Sometimes when things seem too good to be true, it can actually be true.
About a year and a half later, we can say never paid a dime for anything. Got over $2 million worth of solar equipment on the roof, and we're going great. Jim and his team at Revenue Task Force did a great job finding money everywhere between incentives and grants and rebates, tapping into federal money, state money. The energy companies are offering an incentive. So it was really, really a great program. Really happy with what we did here.
All right. And with that, thank you very much for your time and have a great day.